Okay, just get yourself ready for your restorative practice. So get your blanket over the top of your mat just to create a feeling of bed, and then have a folded blanket for underneath your head. Make sure it's evenly folded. Bolster up underneath your knees, and a couple of blocks for your feet. Have something to cover your eyes if you've got it. So a little eye pillow like this is pretty effective for that. And have a blanket to cover yourself over with if you feel like you might be cold. So with the bolster underneath your knees, blanket underneath your head, the blocks underneath your feet. Just take your glasses off if you're wearing them, and then just release into the floor for a moment. So cover yourself over if you feel like you might be chilly. I quite often just cover my feet, but I think I might cover everything. Cover your eyes if you can. And then just enjoy the sensation of just laying down on the ground. So just feeling the floor supporting your back. Just observing the feeling of the body in connection with the ground, in connection with the bolster and the blocks and the blanket. So don't be in a rush to find your final position, just adjust if there's discomfort anywhere. Just allow yourself to gently release into the floor. So these first couple of minutes laying on the ground after a busy day are really blissful. Just a feeling of just sudden comfort. Just consciously let go of the muscles of the arms and legs. Unhooking the muscles so that you consciously relax. Just allowing the body to become heavy on the floor. Give yourself permission to relax. Give yourself permission to let go. Allow the body to become heavy on the floor. Consciously letting go of the muscles of the arms and the legs. Just allowing the body to be supported. supported by the ground. As you allow the body to become heavy, maybe you notice that feeling of energetic lightness rises out of and radiates out of the bones and into the muscles. Observing how that feeling of energy radiating out of the bones and into the muscles brings lightness to the muscles. Observing the feeling of energy radiating out into the muscles and into the organs, radiating positive energy into the organs in the chest and around the torso, driving positive energy into the organs. Just distributing that feeling of lightness evenly with the breath down into the tips of the toes, the tips of the fingers, and into the top of the head. Observing as that feeling of energy radiates out from the bones and into the muscles and the organs and into the flesh and into the skin. So using your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of lightness evenly throughout the body. To enjoy the feeling of full body basking in the warmth of positive energy. Just focus on your breath, feeling as you inhale how the chest rises upwards and outwards. Just releasing into the floor, giving into that feeling of energetic lightness permeating through to the skin. Just take some deeper inhalations, deeper exhalations. Just feeling that the chest rises upwards and outwards with the in-breath and contracts with the out-breath. Just mentally scanning the body for areas of tension and then adjusting or releasing in that area brings quietness. Just visualize something or someone that brings positive, or somewhere that brings positive energy into your existence. Just feeling the tingle of energy in the skin and in the muscles and in the bones. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and then bend your knees. Bring your feet onto the bolster. Just stay down on the floor for a moment, just allowing your back to rest into the floor. And then just very gently roll onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg. Come back up into a seated position. Just sit yourself in cross legs for a moment, just observing the feeling of lightness that you have released through your practice so far. Okay, we're going to do our spinal lengthening pose. So this couldn't really help to kind of ease out any tension in your back if it's feeling a bit stiff. So just pull your blanket out so that it's a long fold like this, and then take it down the center so you kind of have a thicker, narrower blanket, and then just fold that down the middle again so that you've got a long kind of slightly thick blanket, and then you're going to just lay that out along the along the middle of your mat. If you've got like kind of hemming, have that at the head end, because otherwise it can feel a bit stiff in your lower back. So just have the bolster underneath your knees, and then just lay yourself so that you're just the bottom of your lumbar is sitting on the roll, and then just guide your back along the floor, and then get hold of the end of the blanket and then roll it up so it's like a little pillow, and then just have the bolster underneath your knees, but just move the bolster around a little bit, just so that you kind of either move it up your knees or up into the backs of the thighs, just so that you feel this sense of length in the spine. So this is our spinal lengthening pose. It's a really nice way of releasing tension in your back if there is stiffness. So again, you can cover yourself with your blanket, cover your eyes, and now that we are out of our initial basic relaxation pose, I'll stop talking as much as well, just so that you can focus on relaxing rather than listening. Just indulging in that feeling of length in the spine. This is deeply energizing. Just let the body go, let the body release into the floor. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bend your knees, and then just roll yourself off the folded blanket. Just stay down on your side for a moment. And then stretch out the top leg, come back up into cross legs, and then just get your blanket, just unfold it, and just put it back into your kind of little pillow. So we're going to do our side stretching pose. So you just need a bolster, and that's it. So just, again, this is good for kind of just loosening up a stiff back. So you just come onto your side. Again, you can cover yourself if you need to. Bolster is in the kind of side of the waist rather than in the hip. So you're just going to roll over so that you're going to be on one side, and then just with this pose you do consciously stretch out a little. Just make sure that your legs are in line with your hips, in line with your shoulders, in line with your arms, and just stretch yourself out initially, and then just let yourself just relax into it. But it's a really good way to just stretch out of any tension. So if that top foot feels a bit weird on top of the other foot, you can bring it forwards of that foot that's closest to the floor. So our side stretching pose, just to really open up the energy of the side of the body. So you can consciously stretch into it, and then just let the bolster and gravity do its job by relaxing into it. I hope you can't hear next door. They've got a baby, and I think they're bathing in. They're playing in the. They're making noise in the bathroom. So sorry if you can hear that. Okay, and then just bend your knees, just roll onto your front, and then just push yourself up into a seated position. Just sit back on your heels, just observe your energy. And then just come over onto the other side. So again, so just onto your other side, same pose, just come onto your just the side of your waist, the bottom of the hip, and then just stretch yourself out along the floor. So make sure you're in a good straight line. Okay, and then just gently roll onto your front. Just push your elbows into the floor and then just come up into a seated position, just sitting back on your heels. Again, just observing the lightness and the energy that you have released. So the feeling is kind of quite intense, isn't it? Just come down onto your. We're just going to finish off in a supported bridge pose. So get your blanket and then unfold it so it's a long fold like that, and then you're going to roll up the end of the blanket like a Swiss roll. So you want it quite firm, and then have a bolster where you can reach it. Then you're going to come down onto your back and then just have the blanket rolled up and support in the back of your neck. It feels really nice just to have the blanket underneath the neck. And then you're going to lift the seat bones, just bring the bolster underneath the small of your back, and then just adjust so that it feels really comfortable underneath the back of the neck. And then you can just let the arms either rest over your head like this or just to the sides of the body. And again, you can just cover yourself over just for a bit of warmth. So you just got the bolster underneath the small of the back. You can let your arms rest over your head or just to the sides of the body. So again, this is nice for release in the neck and the shoulders. So the shoulders are on the floor, the neck is supported by the roll. Okay, just lift the seat bones, just slide the bolster away just so that it sits underneath your knees, and then just lift your head, just unroll the blanket, and then just have the blanket just from underneath your head again, just resting down into the floor with the bolster underneath your knees, your head underneath the blanket underneath your head, and just allow yourself just to rest into the floor. Just observing the energy around the neck and the shoulders. Just consciously releasing into the floor, observing the lightness that radiates out from the bones and into the muscles and into the organs, into the flesh and into the skin. Just using your in breath and your out breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness down into the tips of the toes, into the fingers, into the tips of the fingers, and into the top of the head. Just basking in that glow of positive energy. And then when you're ready, just gently wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Just bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. Bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, have the feet apart, the knees together for a moment, just resting your back into the floor. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then stretch out the top leg, come back up on into cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Just close your eyes, draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, this evening, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside, and then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then when you're ready, just gently release your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards, and as you raise your head, just allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you really just stretched out your back a little and just revived your energy. So thank you very much for joining me.